all things Monad. Today we're going to be answering the most important questions such as is it even worth farming, taking a look at some metrics, and most importantly, strategies. Let's dive in. So let's take a look at some numbers first. This post is over 2 weeks old, however, it paints a very clear picture of the hype behind Monad. At that point, there was over 62 million total wallets farming it, with 4 million wallets being created every single day. At this point, we're probably past 100 million. However, one very encouraging factor is the fact that wallets numbering over 300 transactions at a time was just around 200k, whereas just over 100k wallets had over 500 transactions. So this is, of course, very standard, very normal to see. Most of these wallets are civil wallets and they will all be disqualified. So if you want to guarantee that you're actually going to get some guarantee potential Monad allocation, then of course you want to diversify your dApp usage and have as many transactions as possible over a coherent period of time. So how do you check your wallet stats? There are many community built tools such as this cryptowalletsx.com or the Layer Hubs checker. However, of course, you need to use these at your own risk and maybe don't check all of your wallets on the same site, just in case there's some weird tracking. Anyway, Monad testnet stats, you can see here that they have some very straightforward criteria such as activity, number of contracts interacted with, number of transactions, token holding, and NFT holding. And here you can see how you can potentially stay active and just ensure that your score is as high as possible. Alternatively, you also have this Layer Hub, which actually gives you the percentage in which your wallet criteria actually fits in. And as you can see, I'm not really going too heavily on Monad particularly. My wallet just had 16 transactions and it is already in top 3% of the wallets, which is actually crazy to think about it, in the top 3 million wallets. So as you can see, it is not that difficult to position yourself in the top 5 to 10% of Monad interactions as of today. So if you're farming this one, this is actually very, very good news. So if we're to believe this dashboard, that would mean that currently, as of making this video, April 9th, there is just around 125 million wallets currently active on Monad testnet. Now, regarding the faucets, how to get started. So you have many different ways to actually get Monad tokens, but to be honest, most of these are very glitchy and very tricky and usually drip just a tiny amount of Monad tokens. In the past, it was usually the best strategy to simply use a layer 0 bridge and then swap on ambient finance before the slippage was completely broken. However, there are many of these that you can use. Maybe during periods of less activity, there's going to be much more funds in the faucet. So definitely use this link to find the faucet that makes sense to you. Of course, all the links of everything we talk about are always in the first link of the description of every video. Also, general rule for testnets is to always use burner wallets. However, in the past, the burner wallets don't really have any transaction history, so it is a very delicate balance if you are willing to risk it. And at the end of the day, hot wallets should never hold a huge amount of funds anyway, but just something to keep in mind. Most of these dApps are community built, so you are taking on a significant amount of smart contract risk and potentially exposing your wallets to hacks and drains. That said, of course, perfect mention is this where Toby has posted about a potential 3-in-1 with this particular application, which has since then been suspended on X. So doesn't mean it's a scam, but you just really have to be very careful with these things, and it is always recommended to use a burner wallet and not your actual main airdrop farming wallets. So you got your Monad tokens. Let's talk strategies. First and the most obvious one is, of course, the NFT strategy. You need to go to Magic Eden, Monad testnet, and here you can find some NFTs that you can trade, swap, buy. Most importantly, most of these collections you should try to catch during the mint phase, because otherwise you'll just be paying absurd amount of Monad tokens on secondaries, and that is not really the way to go. So alternatively, you can also just follow Leaky on X. He's one of the guys in our Discord who's been really hyper-focused on Monad over the last couple of weeks and months, and he always posts insightful stuff for Monad mints, hot mints, so definitely check him out if you still haven't. And if you're super serious about farming Monad and airdrops in general, you simply don't have an excuse not to be a part of a private community where you can discuss strategies in real time with other farmers, with other DeFi degens, and just be ahead of the curve. Because most of the stuff we talk about in our videos are always discussed in Discord before time, and you will have access to all information in a timely fashion. If you want to join, make sure to check the subscriptions page. It is always in the first link of the description of every video. monthly, yearly plans, as well as an error tracking application. Now, let's take a look at a couple of dApps. First, we have the tried and true, most straightforward way to actually get transactions on multiple blockchains, including Abstract and many others, and that is the contract deployment using Auto Finance. So this one is as straightforward as it gets. You go to their official website, you go to the Deploy tab, and here you just select Monad testnet. You need to, of course, make sure you have some posted tokens, and it's a couple clicks. Of course, if you don't have the Monad testnet, Rabbi is going to add it for you automatically. And that is all. Now, regarding some other dApps, you also have some predictions markets. So this is very proven model to actually use on chain because it has real world utility, and betting platforms are performing really well in general. So in this case, you can bet on NBA, NFL, or baseball, MLB. So in that case, of course, you can just explore this dApp. Personally, I'm not big on betting, but here you can use some of your Monad testnet tokens to actually get unique interaction. And another one which actually has much better funding, and it's probably the one that might be a little more reputable, is this Opinion Lab, so OLab. Here you can also just see it's a predictions market, and here you can find many different ways to, it's basically polling market on Monad. So you can see all the different predictions that we might have, such as will Monad mainnet go live in Q2 2025? You can see the percentages and what are the odds of actually securing some Monad tokens on testnet, potentially transitioning to mainnet. Of course, there is a lot more activity to be done on Monad testnet, and as soon as we get new information regarding a special activity, time sensitive, we will let you know first in Discord and then in YouTube videos as well. Now, regarding other ecosystems, something to keep in mind is that token generation event for TurboTap is coming very, very soon, only a couple of weeks away. And they have also mentioned in the AMA that it is worthwhile to renew your .turbo domain. So potentially that could be some kind of multipliers. Snapshot also confirmed for sometime this week. Now, great news comes from Jumper. If you are a Jumper Loyalty Pass user level 15 or above, you're going to be receiving 0.625% of total desk supply. So another surprise airdrop, and make sure to check the Jumper Exchange profile tab for more information regarding this. Also, if you're still farming Walrus or maybe participating in Season 2, Walrus was one of the better airdrops on Sui. So if you're participating in Season 2, you have until April 16th, so set for the next 7 days, you have ability to stake and get more of the LST using the dApp. And for Sonium airdrop farmers, if you're holding the Sonium OG badge, make sure to fill out the form for Universe, one of the more promising NFT collections on Sonium. And if you are farming Wayfinder, so if you've staked your Echelon Prime or any other token on their platform, make sure to be on the lookout for tomorrow, because maybe we're going to be getting prompt airdrop also very, very soon. And to wrap everything up, I will just leave Bleaky's thread regarding what every airdrop hunter should know. Of course, we mentioned this many times, but airdrops generally lose value as soon as they're airdropped. So it is generally a great strategy to cash out most of your airdrop, even in a bull market. He also mentions a little bit how staking is actually very, very bad, because usually you just don't have enough time to unstake and sell before the token depreciates in value dramatically. And the importance of actually staking during a bear market, for example, how Celestia and many other tokens that were airdropped during the depths of a bear market have actually performed incredibly well. And not to mention that we've also had the most rewards from staking these tokens early, because of course it is logical that projects will reward users who have supported them during the hardest times. And that is a wrap for all the Monad updates for today. If you like the content, make sure to like and subscribe, bell notifications on. If you have any questions, comments, drop them in the comment section below. And if you're ready to take your game to the next level, we're waiting for you in our Discord. As always, thanks for watching and have an amazing day.